The stars looked cold and distant through the viewport of the Velcros flagship. Commander Thelva stood with his arms crossed behind his back, watching the small blue planet grow larger on the display screens. He smiled. This would be another easy victory for the Dominion. The Velcros had been conquering worlds for almost 100 years. They were the strongest military force in this part of the galaxy. Their ships were fast. Their weapons could burn through metal like paper. Their shields could stop almost any attack. No one had defeated them in battle for decades. "Sir, we are approaching the target planet," the navigation officer announced. His voice was calm and professional. Thelvas nodded slowly. "What do we know about these humans?" The tactical officer brought up data on his screen. "They are a young species. Commander. They only started traveling between planets about 50 years ago. They have a few small colonies on their moon and on the red planet they call Mars. Their technology is very basic." "Basic?" Thelvas laughed. "How basic?" They still use chemical rockets for most of their ships. They have no energy shields at all. Their weapons are kinetic and nuclear. Very primitive stuff." Another officer joined the conversation. "Our intelligence shows they have no faster-than-light weapons. They cannot even communicate across star systems quickly. When we sent our message, it took them hours to receive it." Thelvas felt satisfaction wash over him. "And how many warships do they have?" "Maybe 300 ships total, scattered across their system. Most are small patrol craft. They have nothing larger than a heavy cruiser. Nothing that could threaten even one of our destroyers." The commander walked closer to the main viewport. Behind his flagship, 300 Velcros warships flew in perfect formation. Each ship was armed with plasma cannons and particle beams. Each ship had shields that could withstand enormous damage. Together, they were unstoppable. "What did they say when we gave them our ultimatum?" Thelvas asked. The communications officer checked his logs. Admiral Tormek demanded their complete surrender. 12 hours ago. They were given a simple choice: join the Dominion peacefully, or be destroyed. And their answer? The officer looked uncomfortable. "They sent back a single word, sir. They said no." Thelvas turned around sharply. "No? Just no?" "Yes, Commander. Nothing else. Just that one word." For a moment, Thelvas felt anger rise in his chest. How dare these primitives refuse the Dominion? But then he laughed again. Their defiance would not matter. In a few hours, their military would be destroyed. In a few days, their planet would be under Dominion control. They would learn to regret that single word. "Sir," the sensor officer suddenly called out, "I am detecting something." "What is it?" "A ship. A single ship is coming out from behind their largest moon. The one they call Europa." Thelvas moved to the sensor station. "Just one ship? Are they surrendering?" "I do not think so, sir. This ship is different. It is very large. Bigger than anything in their fleet data. One. And R. The main screen changed to show the approaching vessel. Every Velcros officer on the bridge stopped what they were doing and stared. The human ship was enormous. It was shaped like a long rectangle with massive engines at the back. The hull was dark gray, almost black, and covered in what looked like thick armor plates. Along its sides, hundreds of weapons pointed outward: gun barrels, missile tubes, energy weapons. The ship looked like it was built for only one purpose: war. "How big is that thing?" Thelvas whispered. The sensor officer checked his readings 3 times before answering. "Over 30 kilometers long, Commander. It is bigger than our flagship. Bigger than anything we have ever seen." "That is impossible. Our intelligence said they had no ships larger than a cruiser." "Our intelligence was wrong, sir." Thelvas studied the ship more carefully. Despite its size, something felt wrong about it. What about its shields? What kind of power readings are we getting? Junnerfime. "That is strange, sir. I am not detecting any shield generators at all. No energy fields around the hull. Nothing. No shields? Thelvas felt relief. Then they are fools. Our plasma weapons will cut through that armor easily. It does not matter how big their ship is, if it has no shields. But even as he said it, doubt crept into his mind. Why would humans build such an enormous ship and give it no shields? Were they really that primitive? Or did they know something the Velcros did not? Sir, the human ship is hailing us, the communications officer announced. Put it on screen. The viewport changed to show the interior of the human ship's bridge. A man in a dark uniform stood in the center. He was not tall, but something about the way he stood made him seem dangerous. His face was calm. Too calm for someone facing 300 enemy warships. I am Commander Thelvas, of the Velcros Dominion flagship, Eternal Triumph, Thelvas said. You are facing the full might of our fleet. Your planet has rejected our offer of peace. You have one chance to avoid destruction. Order your ship to stand down immediately. The human captain looked at him without any fear in his eyes. I am Captain Lee Hyun, of the United Nations Space Command. Battleship Indomitable. I also have an offer for you, Commander. End quote. You are in no position to make offers. You have 30 seconds to begin your retreat. If you do not leave this system immediately, we will show you why humanity does not surrender. The choice is yours. Thelvas could not believe what he was hearing. One ship, one human ship, against 300 Velcros warships. And this captain was threatening him? He started to laugh. It began as a small chuckle but grew into full laughter. Around the bridge, other officers joined in. The idea was absurd. It was insane. Did these humans really think they could win? Your confidence is amusing, Captain, Thelvas said when he could speak again. But it will not save you. You will be the first to die, and then we will move on to your pathetic colonies and your homeworld. You should have surrendered when you had the chance. The human captain's expression did not change. So be it. You were warned. The transmission ended. The screen returned to showing the massive human battleship hanging in space. It looked dark and silent and dangerous. All ships, Thelvas ordered. Prepare to engage. Target that human battleship. I want it destroyed quickly. Show them what happens when primitives challenge the Dominion. Across the fleet, weapons powered up. Targeting systems locked onto the Indomitable. 300 ships prepared to fire. Thelvas smiled. This would be over quickly. One massive explosion, and the humans would lose their precious battleship. Then, they would understand their mistake. But as he watched the human ship on his screen, something nagged at the back of his mind. The captain had been too calm, too confident, as if he knew something important, as if he was not worried at all about facing impossible odds. What did these humans know that the Velcros did not? Fire, Thelvas commanded, and the battle began. Captain Lee Hyun watched the Velcros fleet on his main screen. 300 ships, all of them bigger and more advanced than anything humanity had built before the Indomitable. Any normal person would feel fear looking at those odds. But Hyun had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. Distance to enemy fleet? He asked quietly. Lieutenant Park Ji-woo checked her navigation console. 200,000 kilometers, and closing, sir. They are maintaining their formation. Looks like they plan to surround us. Hyun nodded. That was a standard tactic for a larger fleet. Use numbers to attack from all sides at once. It worked well against most opponents. But the Indomitable was not like most ships. Commander Kim, status report, Hyun said to his executive officer. Commander Kim Mireille stood beside him, studying her tactical display. Her fingers moved across the holographic controls as she brought up data. All weapon systems are online and ready. Reactors are running at full power. Armor plates are locked in place. Point defense systems are active. We are ready for combat, Captain. Free the Reezer Zo. Armor plates. Armor plates. Engineering status? From deep in the ship's engine room, Commander Yoon Min-jae's voice came through the communication system. All reactors stable, Captain. We can push to 130% power if needed. Damage control teams are standing by at all sections. We are good to go. Hyun allowed himself a small smile. His crew had trained for 3 years for this day. Every person on this ship knew their job perfectly. They had practiced every scenario, every emergency, every possible combat situation. Now it was time to put that training to use. "Sir, incoming transmission from the enemy flagship," announced Choi Dobbin from the communication station. "Put it on screen." The Velcros commander appeared on the main display. He looked confident. Too confident. His purple skin and 4 eyes marked him as a typical Velcros warrior. Behind him, Hyun could see other officers working at their stations. The alien spoke with barely hidden contempt. "I am Commander Thelvas of the Velcros Dominion flagship Eternal Triumph. You are facing the full might of our fleet. Your planet has rejected our offer of peace. You have one chance to avoid destruction. Order your ship to stand down immediately." Hyun kept his face neutral. He had dealt with bullies before. The Velcros were just bullies with bigger ships. "I am Captain Lee Hyun of the United Nations Space Command Battleship Indomitable. I also have an offer for you, Commander." The alien's expression showed surprise. He had not expected a counteroffer. "You have 30 seconds to begin your retreat," Hyun continued. "If you do not leave this system immediately, we will show you why humanity does not surrender. The choice is yours." For a moment, there was silence. Then the Velcros commander began to laugh. It was a mocking, cruel laugh. Around their bridge, other aliens joined in. They thought it was funny. One human ship threatening 300 Velcros warships. They thought Hyun was insane. "Your confidence is amusing, Captain," Thelvas said. "But it will not save you. You will be the first to die. And then we will move on to your pathetic colonies and your homeworld. You should have surrendered when you had the chance." Hyun's expression stayed calm. He cut the transmission. Around the bridge, his crew watched him. They had heard everything. They knew what was coming. But not one person showed fear. They trusted their captain. They trusted their ship. They trusted each other. "All stations, combat readiness," Hyun ordered. His voice was steady and clear. "Tactical Officer Song Ji-hoon, you may fire when ready." Lieutenant Song Ji-hoon sat at the weapons control station. His hands moved across the controls with practiced ease. "Aye, Captain." Initiating firing sequence. All batteries locked on target. Point defense active. Countermeasures ready. Hyun sat down in his command chair. He gripped the armrests and took a deep breath. "Show them what humanity can do." "With pleasure, sir," Ji-hoon replied. The first Velcros plasma bolts streaked through space toward the Indomitable. Bright, purple energy beams that could melt through most ship armor. 100 shots fired at once, from 100 different ships, all aimed at the human battleship, but the Indomitable was already moving. Hyun felt the ship accelerate beneath him. The fusion drives were the most powerful engines humanity had ever built. They could push the massive battleship to speeds that seemed impossible for something so large. The Indomitable rolled to the side, presenting less of a target profile. Most of the Velcros shots missed completely. The few that hit struck the thick armor plates that covered the ship's hull. The plasma burned and melted the outer layer, but the armor was deep. Very deep. Humans had learned long ago that if you could not build shields, you built thicker walls. "Armor damage minimal," Kim Mireille reported. "Return fire," Hyun ordered. The Indomitable's main railguns fired. These were not energy weapons. They were simple magnetic accelerators that threw chunks of tungsten carbide metal at tremendous speed. The projectiles were just solid slugs. No explosives. No fancy technology. Just heavy metal, moving very, very fast. The Velcro shields activated to stop the incoming projectiles. Energy fields designed to deflect plasma and particle beams spread across the hulls of the enemy ships. The railgun slugs went right through them. The shields were built to stop energy weapons. They worked perfectly against lasers and plasma. But solid matter, moving at a fraction of light speed? The shields could not stop that. The physics were all wrong for what the Velcros had designed. 3 Velcros cruisers exploded as the tungsten slugs punched through their shields, through their armor, and through their reactor cores. The explosions lit up space like small suns. On the Indomitable's bridge, Lieutenant An Sora called out from her weapons coordination station. Confirmed hits. 3 enemy ships destroyed, remaining vessels showing confusion in their formations. Hyun watched the tactical display. The Velcros fleet was trying to adjust. They had not expected their shields to fail. They had not expected to take damage from the first exchange. Their perfect formation was starting to break apart as individual ships tried to compensate. Ji-hoon, fire missile pods 1 through 6. Target their command ships. Let us keep them off balance. Missiles away, sir. Hundreds of missiles launched from the Indomitable's hull. These were not the simple rockets that old human ships used. These were smart weapons, with their own guidance systems and their own small reactors. Each one could think for itself. Each one could dodge and weave and hunt its target. The Velcros fleet tried to shoot them down. Their point defense systems fired thousands of shots. Many missiles exploded before reaching their targets. But there were too many. For every missile destroyed, 3 more got through. Nuclear fire blossomed across the enemy formation. The Velcros had forgotten about nuclear weapons. Most advanced civilizations had moved past such primitive explosives, but humans still used them because they worked. A nuclear explosion did not care about shields or armor or advanced technology. It just released enormous energy in all directions. More Velcro ships died. Enemy fleet is returning fire, Park Ji-woo warned. Massive weapons discharge detected. Incoming. Enemy. Enemy. Evasive pattern Delta 7, Hyun ordered. All power to engines. Point defense. Full spread. The Indomitable dove and rolled and spun through space. It moved like a dancer. Like a fighter pilot in an ancient war. Not like a ship 30 kilometers long. The fusion drives could pivot and thrust in any direction, giving the massive vessel agility that seemed impossible. Velcros energy weapons filled the space where the Indomitable had been a moment before, but the ship was already somewhere else. The few shots that tracked the moving battleship were met by point defense systems. Hundreds of small laser turrets and rapid-fire cannons created a wall of defensive fire around the ship. Most incoming shots were destroyed or deflected before they could hit. Some hits on our starboard side, Yoon Min-jae reported from engineering. Armor holding. Temperature rising in sections 19 and 20. Damage control teams responding. Armor. Keep us moving, Hyun said to Park Ji-woo. Do not let them predict our position. Ji-hoon, continue firing. Yes, sir. The battle was only 5 minutes old, and already the Velcros were learning a terrible lesson. Their advanced technology meant nothing against an enemy that fought differently. Their shields were useless. Their weapons could not hit a target that moved unpredictably. Their tactics assumed an opponent would fight the same way they did. But humanity had never fought fair. Humans had spent thousands of years killing each other and learning from every battle. They knew that rules were for people who could afford to lose. They knew that survival meant using every advantage, every trick, every dirty tactic that worked. The Indomitable was not just a ship. It was 10,000 years of human warfare compressed into steel and weapons and tactics, and the Velcros were beginning to understand what that meant. Captain, Kim Mireille said quietly, the enemy fleet is attempting to regroup. They are reforming into a tighter defensive formation. Hyun smiled. That was a mistake. Bringing all those ships closer together just made them a bigger target. Ji-hoon, he said. Prepare cluster munitions. Let us teach them why concentration of forces is a bad idea. Yes, sir. This is going to be fun. 1 hour into the battle, Commander Thelvas realized he had made a terrible mistake. His fleet had already lost 47 ships, 47 of the finest warships in the Velcros Dominion, destroyed by a single human battleship. "How is this possible?" he shouted at his tactical officer. "We outnumber them. We have superior technology. Why are we losing?" The tactical officer looked terrified. "Their weapons ignore our shields, Commander. The solid projectiles pass right through our energy fields, and their missiles carry nuclear warheads that our defenses cannot fully stop. Then adjust the shields. Modify them to stop physical projectiles. We are trying, sir, but the modifications take time. Our shields were never designed to stop kinetic weapons. No one uses kinetic weapons anymore." Thelvas wanted to scream. The humans used kinetic weapons. The humans used tactics and weapons that the rest of the galaxy had abandoned centuries ago. And those primitive methods were working. On his main screen, he watched the Indomitable move through space. It should not move like that. Nothing that large should be so fast, so agile. The human ship rolled and dove and changed direction constantly. His weapons officers could not get a clean shot. Every time they locked on target, the human ship was already somewhere else. "Sir, the human ship is launching something," his sensor officer warned. "Detecting thousands of small objects. They are spreading out across our formation." "Missiles?" "No, sir. They are smaller, much smaller. They appear to be autonomous drones of some kind." Thelvas felt cold fear grip his chest. "What kind of drones?" Va. He got his answer a moment later. The drones were small, barely 3 meters long. Each one was basically a rocket engine with a guidance computer and an explosive warhead. They were not sophisticated. They did not have shields or armor. They were simple, cheap, and easy to build. And there were thousands of them. The drones swarmed the Velcros fleet like angry insects. They moved in unpredictable patterns, zigzagging and dodging. The Velcros point defense systems tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. For every drone destroyed, 10 more kept coming. When the drones reached their targets, they exploded. Each explosion was small, barely enough to damage a warship's hull. But the drones were not attacking randomly. They were targeting specific systems: sensor arrays, weapon turrets, engine ports, communication antennas. A Velcros destroyer lost its main sensor array when 5 drones hit it simultaneously. Blind and confused, the ship drifted out of formation. A cruiser lost 3 of its main plasma cannons. A battleship's shield generator overloaded when a dozen drones struck it within seconds of each other. The drones did not need to destroy ships. They just needed to damage them, to blind them, to slow them down. And while the Velcros fleet wasted ammunition shooting at drones, the Indomitable kept firing its main weapons. On the human battleship's bridge, Captain Lee Hyun watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The drone swarms were working exactly as planned. "Ji-hoon, how many drones do we have left?" he asked. Lieutenant Song Ji-hoon checked his console. "We launched 5,000 in the first wave. We still have 15,000 ready in the bays. The manufacturing pods are building more as we fight." Hyun nodded. That was another human advantage. The Indomitable carried small, automated factories that could build simple drones during combat, feed in raw materials, and the factories would produce more weapons. It was not elegant, but it worked. Launch another 3,000. Focus on their command ships. I want their admirals blind and deaf. "Yes, sir." Commander Kim Mire stood beside Hyun, watching the battle unfold. "The enemy is trying to regroup. They are pulling their ships closer together for mutual defense. They are making another mistake," Hyun observed. "Tight formations mean more ships in our firing radius. Ji-hoon, prepare cluster munitions. Load warheads. 7 through 15. Cluster munitions armed and ready, Captain." Hyun watched as the Velcros fleet formed into a defensive sphere, all ships facing outward with their weapons pointed at the Indomitable. It looked impressive. It looked like a fortress in space, Any normal attacker would have trouble penetrating such a formation. But the Indomitable was not a normal attacker. Fire cluster munitions into the center of their formation, Hyun ordered. Maximum dispersal pattern. The Indomitable launched a salvo of specialized missiles. Each missile was large, almost 10 meters long. They flew toward the Velcro sphere at high speed. The enemy ships tracked them and prepared to shoot them down. Then, exactly 5 kilometers from the enemy formation, the cluster missiles opened up. Each missile released 300 submunitions. Small explosive charges that spread out in all directions, creating clouds of shrapnel moving at enormous velocity. The submunitions were not guided. They did not need to be. There were so many of them that they filled the space between Velcro ships with deadly metal fragments. Ships that had grouped together for mutual defense suddenly found themselves being hit from multiple angles. The shrapnel tore through sensor arrays, punctured fuel lines, and damaged delicate systems. Several ships collided with each other as they tried to evade the shrapnel cloud. 2 destroyers crashed together and exploded. Direct hits across their formation, Lieutenant Onsora reported. Enemy fleet is breaking apart. They are abandoning their defensive sphere. Hyun allowed himself a small smile. The Velcros were learning that human warfare was about exploiting weaknesses. They concentrated their ships for defense, so humans punished concentration. They relied on shields, so humans used weapons that ignored shields. They followed predictable tactics, so humans fought unpredictably. Captain, we are receiving damage to our port side, Commander Yoon Min-jae announced from engineering. Multiple plasma hits. Armor is holding but temperature is rising. Sections 23 through 28 are above safe limits. Rotate the ship, Hyun ordered. Present our starboard armor to the enemy. Give the port side time to cool. Lieutenant Park Ji-woo worked her controls. The massive battleship rolled along its axis, presenting undamaged armor to the enemy, while the overheated sections rotated away from the firing line. It was a simple tactic, but it worked. The Indomitable had armor all around its hull, and by rotating, it could distribute damage evenly. The Velcros were not used to fighting opponents who rotated their ships during battle. Their own vessels had thick armor only on the front. Rotating would expose their weaker side and rear armor. But the Indomitable had been designed by humans who knew that in real combat, attacks could come from any direction. Enemy fleet is splitting into 3 groups, Kim Murray observed. They are trying to surround us again, attempting to attack from multiple angles simultaneously. Hyun studied the tactical display. 3 groups, each with about 80 ships. They were spreading out, trying to force the Indomitable to divide its fire. It was a good tactic. Against a normal ship, it would work. Ji-hoon. Allocate weapons by sector. Forward batteries on Group 1. Port batteries on Group 2. Starboard batteries on Group 3. Let them think we are dividing our attention. Weapons allocated, sir. Ji-woo, plot a course directly toward Group 1. Full speed. Park Ji-woo looked surprised. Yes. They are expecting us to stay at range and try to fight all 3 groups at once. Instead, we are going to punch through Group 1 and then turn on the others. Make them chase us. A smile crossed Park Ji-woo's face as she understood. Aye, sir. Course plotted. Ready to engage. Execute. The Indomitable's massive fusion drives flared bright. The battleship accelerated directly toward the nearest Velcros group. The enemy ships saw the human vessel charging at them and prepared to meet the attack. They thought the humans were desperate. They thought this was a suicide charge. They were wrong. As the Indomitable closed the distance, every weapon on its forward section fired at once. Railguns, missiles, lasers, particle beams, everything that could shoot forward unleashed destruction on the Velcro ships ahead. The concentrated firepower was overwhelming. 6 Velcro ships exploded immediately. 4 more were crippled and began to drift. The remaining ships in Group 1 tried to scatter, but the Indomitable was already among them. At close range, the human battleship was terrifying. Its point defense systems, designed to shoot down missiles and drones, were just as effective against small warships. Dozens of laser turrets tracked and fired at any Velcro ship that came too close. Rapid-fire cannons filled space with explosive shells. The Indomitable fought like a battleship from ancient Earth oceans, its broadside weapons firing in all directions. Velcro's ships exploded to port and starboard. Some tried to retreat. Others tried to ram the Indomitable in desperation. None of it worked. The human ship was too well armored, too heavily armed, too aggressively flown. In less than 3 minutes, Group 1 of the Velcro's fleet was destroyed. "Turn us around," Hyun ordered. "Target Group 2. The Indomitable rotated and accelerated again. Behind it, debris from 30 Velcro ships slowly drifted apart. Ahead, the remaining 2 enemy groups hesitated. They had just watched the human battleship tear through 80 of their ships like they were toys. Commander Thelvas stared at his screens in horror. Half his fleet was gone. Half of 300 ships. Destroyed in just over an hour. And the human battleship showed no signs of stopping. "All ships," he transmitted to the remaining vessels. "Retreat. Retreat now. Get out of range. We need to regroup," and his transmission was cut off as the Indomitable's railguns found his flagship. The first slug punched through the Eternal Triumph's shield and armor. The second hit the bridge section. Commander Thelvas had one final thought before the explosion consumed him. The humans had never been primitive at all. 2 hours and 30 minutes into the battle, the Velcro's fleet was broken. What had begun as 300 proud warships was now less than 150 damaged, frightened vessels trying desperately to survive. The Indomitable had cut through their formations like a blade through paper. On the human battleship's bridge, Captain Lee Hyun reviewed casualty reports with a heavy heart. 37 crew members dead. 112 wounded. Each name on the list was someone he knew, someone who had trained with him, someone who had believed in the mission. "Captain, multiple enemy ships are attempting to break off and retreat," Lieutenant Park Ji-woo reported. Her voice was tired but steady. They had all been at battle stations for hours without rest. Hyun studied the tactical display. Several Velcro ships at the edges of the battle were turning away, their engines burning bright as they tried to reach escape velocity. They wanted to run. They wanted to survive and tell their people what had happened here. "Do not let them escape," Hyun said quietly. Commander Kim Mire looked at him. "Sir, if we let some ships go, they might report back that humanity is too dangerous to attack. It could prevent future conflicts. Or, they will report our capabilities in detail. And the next fleet that comes will be designed specifically to counter our weapons and tactics," Hyun replied. "We cannot allow them to take our secrets back to their empire. Not yet. Not until we have more ships, like the Indomitable." Kim Mire nodded slowly. She understood. It was cold logic, but warfare was about cold logic. If the Velcros learned how to counter human weapons, the next battle would be much harder, maybe impossible to win. "Ji-hoon, launch pursuit drones," Hyun ordered. "Full spread. Target any ship attempting to leave the battle zone." Lieutenant Song Ji-hoon worked his controls. "Launching pursuit drones now. 1,200 units away. They are tracking fleeing targets." The pursuit drones were different from the swarm drones used earlier. These were faster, with better engines and longer range. They were designed for one purpose: to hunt down ships trying to escape. Each drone carried a small nuclear warhead. Not enough to destroy a warship, but enough to cripple its engines. Across the battlefield, fleeing Velcros ships suddenly found themselves pursued by small, fast objects that they could not shake. The drones were relentless. They dodged defensive fire. They followed their targets through evasive maneuvers. And when they caught up, they detonated. One by one, the fleeing ships lost their engines. They drifted helplessly in space, unable to move, unable to escape. Some tried to fight on with their remaining weapons. Others simply shut down and waited. All fleeing vessels have been disabled, Captain, Sora reported. Remaining enemy ships are attempting to form a new, defensive formation. Hyun watched the tactical display. About 100 Velcro ships were gathering together, forming a tight cluster, with their strongest ships on the outside. They were desperate now, trying anything that might keep them alive. They are signaling for surrender, Choi Dabin announced from communications. Multiple ships broadcasting white flag signals. Hyun closed his eyes for a moment. This was the hardest part of command. The Velcros wanted to surrender now, after hours of fighting, after killing 37 of his crew. Part of him wanted to accept, to stop the killing, to show mercy. But another part of him remembered the Velcros ultimatum from 12 hours ago. Surrender or be destroyed. No negotiation, no mercy. The Velcros had come here to conquer Earth, to enslave humanity, to take everything humans had built, and they had only tried to surrender after they realized they were losing. Open a channel, Hyun said. Choi Dabin activated the communication system. Channel. Open. Sir. Velcros vessels. This is Captain Lee Hyun of the Indomitable. You came to our system with demands of surrender. You brought 300 warships to threaten our homeworld. You gave us no option for peace, only submission or death. He paused, letting his words sink in. Now you wish to surrender because you are losing. But warfare is not a game that you can quit when you are behind. You started this fight. We will finish it. You will not leave this system to threaten us again. You will not return to your empire with intelligence about our capabilities. This battle ends with your complete destruction. He cut the transmission. Around the bridge, his crew was silent. They understood what this meant. They would have to destroy every remaining enemy ship, even those trying to surrender. It was brutal. It was merciless. But it was necessary. Captain, Kim Mireille said softly. The crews on those ships are just following orders. Many of them probably did not want this war. I know, Hyun replied. But they came anyway. They pointed weapons at Earth. They would have destroyed our cities and enslaved our people if they had won. We cannot afford mercy when our species' survival is at stake. He turned to his weapons officer. Ji-hoon, resume firing. Target all remaining vessels. Make it quick. Yes, sir. The Indomitable's weapons began firing again. But this time, there was no elegance to the combat. The human ship methodically worked through the remaining Velcros vessels. One by one. Each target was destroyed efficiently and quickly. There was no glory in it. No honor. Just cold, mechanical execution. A Velcros destroyer exploded as railgun slugs tore through its reactor. A cruiser broke apart under missile fire. A battleship's hull cracked open from laser fire. Some Velcros ships tried to fight back even as they surrendered. Others simply drifted and accepted their fate. A few tried one last desperate attack, charging at the Indomitable. With weapons blazing, they died like the others. Engineering status? Hyun asked. Commander Yoon Min-jae's voice came through the communication system. He sounded exhausted. Reactors are running hot, Captain. We have been at full combat power for over 2 hours. Some systems are starting to show stress. Hull temperature is critical in several sections. We can keep going, but we are pushing our limits. How much longer can we maintain combat operations? Another hour, maybe 90 minutes if we are lucky. After that, we need to power down and let systems cool, or we risk reactor failure. Hyun checked the tactical display. About 70 Velcros ships remained. At their current rate of destruction, they would finish in time. Maintain current power levels, he ordered. We are almost done. Aye, sir. Engineering will keep the lights on, Lieutenant Park Ji-woo suddenly called out. Captain, sensors are detecting new contacts. Multiple ships entering the system at high speed. Hyun felt his heart sink. More Velcros ships? Reinforcements? After all this, would they have to fight another battle? Identification? He demanded. Jiwoo studied her screens carefully. Wait. These are human signatures. I am reading United Nations transponder codes. It is the Earth Defense Fleet. They are coming to support us. Relief washed over Hyun. The defense fleet had finally arrived. Earth's other warships, smaller and less powerful than the indomitable, but still capable vessels. They had been scattered across the solar system when the Velcros attacked. Now they were here. How many ships? He asked. I count 47 human vessels. Cruisers, destroyers, and frigates. They are moving into firing positions. Hyun opened a fleet-wide channel. Earth Defense Fleet. This is Captain Hyun, of the Indomitable. Welcome to the battle. We have the situation under control. But we will gladly accept your assistance in finishing what remains of the enemy fleet. Flan. 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 A new voice came through the speakers. Indomitable. This is Admiral Kang Sojun of the EDF flagship Resolute. We watched the battle from the outer system. We saw what you did here. We are honored to fight alongside you. All ships, weapons free. Let us end this. The Earth Defense Fleet spread out and began engaging the remaining Velcros vessels. Fresh weapons and fresh crews joined the fight. The Velcros, already damaged and demoralized, stood no chance against the combined human forces. The last Velcros ship exploded 37 minutes later. Captain Lee Hyun stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked at the debris field that had once been 300 enemy warships. Metal fragments and frozen bodies drifted through space. Small fires burned where oxygen leaked from broken hulls. It was a graveyard. A monument to the cost of threatening humanity. All enemy vessels destroyed, Lieutenant Onsora reported. No survivors detected. No escape pods launched. Complete elimination of enemy forces. Complete elimination. Total victory. But Hyun felt no joy, no satisfaction, only tired sadness for all the death, both Velcros and human. Stand down from battle stations, he ordered. Begin damage assessment and casualty recovery. Engineering. Start cooling procedures. Medical teams. Prepare to receive wounded. All departments report status. Around the bridge, his crew began the post-battle procedures. The tension slowly drained away as people realized they had survived. Some smiled. Others cried quietly. A few just stared at their screens in shock. Admiral Kang's voice came through again. Indomitable. This is Resolute. We are prepared to assist with damage control and medical support. We also have recovery teams ready to collect your casualties. Thank you, Admiral. We will gladly accept your assistance. And, Admiral, thank you for coming. We could not have finished this without you. When you get, Captain Hyun, after watching you fight alone for 2 hours against 300 enemy ships, I think you could have finished it just fine. But we are glad we could help. The Indomitable has earned its name today. You held the line. You protected Earth. Every human in the solar system owes you and your crew a debt we can never repay. Hyun felt emotion rise in his throat. He pushed it down. There would be time for emotion. Later. Now. He had duties to perform. All human ships, he broadcast. We won today, but we paid a price. 37 brave crew members of the Indomitable gave their lives defending our home. Hundreds more were wounded. We will honor their sacrifice. We will remember their names, and we will make sure the galaxy knows that Earth does not bow to threats. 4 hours after the last Velcros ship exploded, Captain Lee Hyun stood in the memorial bay of the Indomitable. Before him were 37 flag-draped coffins. Each one contained a crew member who had died defending Earth. Engineers, weapons officers, medical staff, young and old, all of them heroes. The entire surviving crew stood at attention. 2,363 people who had fought together and won together. Their uniforms were clean now, their faces washed, but everyone still looked exhausted. Some bore visible injuries. Others carried invisible wounds that would take longer to heal. "We gather here to honor the fallen," Hyun said, his voice echoing in the large bay. These 37 souls gave everything so that Earth could remain free. They knew the risks. They accepted their duty. And when the moment came, they did not hesitate. He looked at each coffin, reading the names silently. Park Min-soo, age 23, reactor technician. Kim Yuri, age 31, weapons specialist. Choi Ji-won, age 42, medical officer. Each name represented a life, a family, a future that would never happen. "The Velcros came here believing we were weak," Hyun continued. "They thought our technology was primitive. They thought our weapons were inferior. They were wrong about our technology. But they were right about one thing. Our weapons are primitive. We still use kinetic projectiles and nuclear explosives. We still rely on armor instead of shields. We still fight with tactics that are thousands of years old." He paused, letting his words sink in. But they did not understand that primitive does not mean ineffective. They did not understand that humanity has spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of warfare. While they played at war with their elegant energy weapons and sophisticated shields, we learned to fight in trenches and jungles and cities. We learned that the side that survives is the side that is willing to do whatever it takes to win. Around the bay, heads nodded. The crew understood. They had seen it themselves in battle. Human warfare was not pretty or honorable. It was brutal and efficient and effective. These 37 people died so that billions could live. They are heroes, and we will never forget them. When we return to Earth, their names will be engraved in the Memorial Hall. Their families will know that they died protecting humanity's freedom. And every future crew member of the Indomitable will learn their names and remember their sacrifice. The ceremony continued with a moment of silence. Then, one by one, the coffins were loaded onto shuttles that would carry them back to Earth for burial. Hyun watched each one go, feeling the weight of command settle heavily on his shoulders. After the ceremony, he returned to the bridge. Commander Kim Mirai was already there, reviewing reports. "Status of the ship?" Hyun asked. "We took significant damage, Captain. 12 of our main railguns are offline. 8 missile pods are empty and need reloading. Hull armor is compromised in 47 sections. We have fires in 3 compartments, although damage control is containing them. The port fusion reactor is running hot and needs maintenance. And we have about 200 wounded crew members in medical. How long until we are combat ready again?" Kim Mirai checked her data. "Minimum 2 months in dry dock. More likely 3 or 4 months for a full repair and refit. The Indomitable is a tough ship, but we pushed it hard. Some systems need to be completely rebuilt." Hyun nodded. That was expected. They had fought for over 3 hours at maximum combat power. Any ship would need extensive repairs after such a battle. "What about the fleet?" he asked. "The Earth Defense Fleet is in better shape. They only fought for 37 minutes, so their damage is minimal. Admiral Kang reports that his ships can remain on patrol while we return to Earth for repairs." "Good. The system still needs defending, in case more Velcro ships show up." Lieutenant Choi Dobbin called from her station. "Captain, we are receiving multiple transmissions from ships at the edge of the system. Non-human signatures. It appears several alien civilizations were monitoring the battle." Hyun felt his pulse quicken. Other aliens had watched the fight? How many? What species? "How many ships are we detecting?" he asked. "At least 20 different vessels, sir. All of them are maintaining position at extreme range. They are not approaching, just watching. I am picking up signals from the Tarkin Federation, the Quillian Collective, the Horan Empire, and several independent trader ships. So the galaxy had been watching. Other civilizations had seen one human battleship destroy 300 Velcros warships. They had seen humanity's tactics, and weapons, and fury. Good, Hyun said. We need to send them a message. Dabin, open a channel on all frequencies. Make sure every ship in this system can hear me. Channel open, sir. All frequencies are active. You are broadcasting to the entire solar system. Hyun stood straight and looked at the main camera. He thought about what he wanted to say. This was humanity's moment to announce itself to the galaxy. To explain what Earth was, and what it would become. He needed to choose his words carefully. To all civilizations monitoring this system, this is Captain Lee Hyun of the United Nations Space Command Battleship Indomitable. Today, the Velcros Dominion attempted to invade Earth and enslave humanity. Today, they learned that humanity does not surrender. He paused, gathering his thoughts. We are not the oldest species in the galaxy. We are not the most advanced. We do not have the best technology or the most powerful weapons. But we have something that many civilizations seem to have forgotten. We remember how to fight. We remember how to win when the odds are impossible. We remember that survival means being willing to do whatever is necessary. Around the bridge, his crew listened. Some smiled. Others nodded in agreement. The Velcros came here with 300 warships. They believed their shields and plasma weapons made them invincible. They were wrong. They did not understand that human weapons, while primitive, are effective. They did not understand that we have spent 10,000 years killing each other and learning from every battle. They did not understand that a species that learned warfare fighting itself is the most dangerous species of all. He let that statement hang in the air for a moment. Our weapons are simple. Magnetic accelerators that throw metal projectiles. Nuclear explosives. Armor plating. Tactics that are thousands of years old. While the galaxy moved on to elegant energy weapons and sophisticated technology, we perfected the basics. We learned that sometimes the simple solution is the best solution. We learned that winning a battle is more important than fighting honorably. Lieutenant Park Ji-woo watched the sensor displays. The alien ships at the edge of the system were all focused on Earth now. Their sensors trained on the Indomitable, recording every word. So here is my message to the galaxy, Hyun continued. Earth is open for peaceful contact. We welcome trade, diplomacy, and friendship with any species that approaches us in peace. We want to learn from you, to share knowledge, to build relationships that benefit everyone. His voice hardened. But any species that comes to Earth with threats of conquest will find what the Velcros found. We will fight. We will use every weapon, every tactic, every advantage we can find. We will not fight fairly. We will not follow your rules of war. We will fight to win, no matter what it takes. And we are very, very good at fighting. He took a breath. The Velcros called our weapons primitive. They were right. But primitive does not mean weak. It means proven. It means reliable. It means effective. While you were building shields to stop plasma weapons, we were building railguns that your shields cannot stop. While you were developing energy weapons that need exotic matter, we were perfecting simple kinetic projectiles that work every time. While you forgot the basics of warfare, we mastered them. Commander Yoon Min-jae, listening from engineering, felt pride surge through him. The captain was speaking truth. Human engineering was not elegant, but it worked. Consider this both a warning and an invitation, Hyun said. Come in peace, and you will find friends. Come seeking to conquer, and you will learn why humanity survived 10,000 years of warfare against itself. You will learn why a species that fights dirty is the most dangerous opponent. You will learn why you should never, ever underestimate the humans. He paused one final time. We do not seek war. We do not desire conflict. But we are prepared for it. We have been preparing for it since the first human picked up a rock to defend their family. We are the species that survived ice ages and plagues and wars and disasters. We are the species that reached for the stars, despite having every reason to give up. We are humanity, and we do not bow. The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, Commander Kim Mirai spoke quietly. That was quite a speech, Captain. Very dramatic. Hyun smiled slightly. The galaxy needs to understand what we are. Better they learn now through words, than later through more battles. Reedy, do you think it will work? Do you think the aliens will respect us now? Some will, Hyun replied. Some will be impressed by what we did today, and will approach us carefully, with respect. Others will see us as a threat that needs to be eliminated before we become too strong. Either way, humanity is no longer unknown. We have announced ourselves. Unquote. Lieutenant Song Ji-hoon looked up from his console. Captain, the alien ships are beginning to leave. They are jumping to faster than light and departing the system. I think they got the message. Good. Let them carry our words to their governments. Let the galaxy know that Earth is defended. For the next hour, the crew of the Indomitable worked to secure the ship and prepare for the journey back to Earth. Damage control teams put out the last fires. Medical teams cared for the wounded. Engineering began the long process of cataloging every system that needed repair. Captain Lee Hyun stood on the bridge and watched Earth grow larger on the main screen. The blue and white planet looked beautiful and peaceful from space. It was hard to believe that just a few hours ago, it had been threatened with invasion. Captain, Park Ji-woo said, we are receiving a transmission from Earth. It is the Secretary General. Put it through. The screen changed to show an older woman in a formal suit. She looked tired, but relieved. Captain Hyun. This is Secretary General Isabella Martinez. On behalf of the United Nations and all of humanity, I thank you and your crew for defending Earth. You faced impossible odds and prevailed. You saved billions of lives. We are forever in your debt. Hyun bowed slightly. We did our duty, Madam Secretary. The Indomitable was built to defend Earth, and that is exactly what we did. But we did not do it alone. Every person on this ship played a role. Every engineer, every weapons officer, every medical technician. They are the real heroes. We will honor all of you appropriately. When you return, there will be ceremonies and medals and celebrations. But first, bring your ship and your crew home safely. Earth is waiting to welcome you. Thank you, Madam Secretary. We will be home soon. The transmission ended. Hyun looked around at his bridge crew. They were exhausted, wounded, traumatized. But they were alive. They had survived. They had won. Ji-woo, set course for Earth orbit, he ordered. Take us home. Sir, course plotted. Engaging engines. The Indomitable turned toward Earth, its massive fusion drives pushing it through space. Behind it, the debris field from 300 Velcross ships slowly drifted apart, spreading across millions of kilometers. It would take years for all the wreckage to disperse, but the memory of what happened here would last forever. The galaxy had glimpsed a human battleship in combat. They had seen what humanity was capable of when threatened. They had learned that Earth was defended by a species that would never surrender, never retreat, never accept defeat. And in that moment of first contact, their assumptions about humanity had been shattered. The primitive species from a small blue planet had proven that sometimes the old ways were the best ways, that simple weapons, wielded with skill, could defeat advanced technology, that a species forged in warfare was the most dangerous species of all. The Indomitable sailed home, scarred but victorious, carrying its crew and its dead, and its message to the galaxy. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same.